On today's episode of Wellspring, we are talking about making a house a home.
Yeah. We had a really fun. I think this was a really good episode.
I think this was our best episode yet,
Ooh,
personally.
Matthew.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Hyping him up, huh?
get excited.
Yeah, so today we talk about our dilemma with our apartment.
Yes.
The new grad experience, because that's what we're kind of experiencing
Yes.
right now.
And, well, new grad slash soon to be new grad. And the resolution, how it was all resolved with the cozy corner.
Ooh, but we're not going to tell you more than that.
Yeah, no.
You're going to have to watch
definitely
the episode.
Definitely not. So I think we should get it started.
Yes, let's go.
All right, let's go.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Wellspring.
Yeah, third episode. You know what they say, third time's a charm.
Oi.
Hey!
He was so excited about doing the welcome back thing so he could add in his little comment here, and so this is what he's hyped me up for, and now I'm a little underwhelmed.
Hey, come on. Third time's a charm.
It's a dad joke.
If you didn't like our first two episodes, this one's the charm. If you did like our first two episodes, this one's going to be even better.
Okay, all right, I'll take it. So today we are talking about home.
Specifically, making a house a home, I believe.
Yeah, a very catchy title. My idea.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, and mostly this has to do with our dilemma, I would say, with our current apartment.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, so we're not like, I think, I'm not sure how many other college students have this experience, but we actually are housed on campus all 4 years for undergrad, and so we just moved out to, I think, both of our first apartment.
Essentially, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, like our first like long-term apartment.
Sure. Yeah.
And this was like 6 months ago, 5 months ago.
September 2025.
Okay, 5 months ago. Yeah.
Sure.
So we moved out to this new apartment in the fall, out to California from our homes where we were respectively quarantining. And it's been, an interesting experience.
Yeah, I would say that one of the things that struck me and kind of, the impetus for this conversation,
The impetus,
is that, my entire life I've lived in, my family's house. I've lived in, on vacations, we'll go to hotels, we'll stay in Airbnbs, all these places are furnished.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that I completely should have expected and did expect, but I didn't really expect it to this extent, I suppose, is showing up at this apartment and it being completely empty.
Yeah, and again, I think we're a little late to the game on this because I think most other people have had this experience by now. Like usually when you're in your third or fourth year of undergrad in the States, they tend to let you just start living on your own.
Well, they kick you off campus. That's usually
Okay,
what
yeah.
happens.
Well, that was the less nice way of putting it. They let you spread your wings and fly free and live on your own. No, but yeah. So we got this nice unfurnished apartment. So now it's our job to do all the HGTV stuff and like fill it up with things.
Yes. I will say that Adithi did not see the bare bones apartment. I am the one who, before she came, I put together the bed frame. I put together, all the basics. But even still, it was pretty bare when she arrived.
Right. And so it was like our job, it was your job the first couple of weeks.
Our job.
Yeah, it's been our job to kind of like put this together and add stuff. And we kind of ran into an issue, and I don't know if this is relatable to other recent grads or like college seniors, but like your willingness to spend money on your first apartment.
Probably pretty low.
Pretty low.
Yeah, but we kind of realized that was a problem. We're trying not to spend excess amounts of money on stuff that we know we don't need.
Right, and I think also like I don't know. This wasn't really a permanent move in our minds either. It's been a weird year, right? I mean, with the pandemic, I think a lot of people are moving around, and it's just like, I don't know how long I'm going to be here with all of the regulations changing and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So, for us, when we moved into this apartment, it was like, okay, this is just kind of like an in-between. It was also a weird time for both of us because, like, you were starting school because it's the last year for you as a college student, and they had announced that they were going to, like, do a weird hybrid schedule or something.
Well, essentially, my Stanford's year this year has been a lot of back and forth.
Pretty
I was
wonky.
supposed to be on campus winter quarter in January, so my plan was to only be in the apartment for a few months. But then they reneged on that and said, no, actually, you're going to be on campus spring quarter, that being starting in April. But now I'm realizing I may not even want to do that. So long story short, I'm here a lot longer than I initially anticipated.
Right. And then I think also, I also think I anticipated us being here a lot less long because I guess my job was starting out, it was supposed to start out in the summer, this past summer. And I actually just started my job on Monday. Or in fact, it's February. So just early February. I don't
Yeah.
And so I think like once you start your job, it becomes a little bit more permanent. Like, oh, okay, you know, I'm going to be in this job for a while. I love my job so far. 2 days going strong. And so now I'm thinking, and then, you know, the more closer you get to the job starting, it's like, oh, okay, we're like actually going to live here for, you know, a while.
Yeah. But I would say the result of that mentality, the result of kind of, you know, at least initially, all right, well, we're probably not going to be here for too long, was, all right, we have to have a bed.
Yeah.
Let's build a bed frame, get a mattress.
We got a desk, but it was like Matt needed a desk for school. I was like, I don't really need a desk now, but like I might need it later for like employment. So I got a desk.
Yeah, but essentially it was still bare bones.
That's it
right?
though.
Like
we had a bed and we had desks.
Yeah. So we kept it pretty basic, and I think by November, December we started to realize that, you know, life in the apartment was, as far as COVID living was going, was great.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing wrong with like living
but
in the apartment. It was, the people were fun. We were having a fun time. It's just like
there was something missing.
There is something. Yeah, there was definitely something missing.
And you kind of, you look at the walls and they're all just a bare
they're
white.
They're so bare. And we rented a lot of our furniture as well, like in the shared area. So like all of our furniture in the apartment that's not in our room is rental apartment furniture. And there's no other decoration or nothing. There's just nothing. It's just a very bare bones place, which is, made sense logically in our minds. We were like, oh yeah, you know, hey, we're just going to be here for a couple months. It's no big deal. We could always like move somewhere else. But it made day-to-day living a little bit harder.
Yeah, I think...
Actually, for me, a lot of bit harder.
Kind of going back to the title, I think what it came down to and what we realized is that we had a house. We didn't have a home.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And I think that's a really important distinction that we came to realize. And upon doing some more research, we kind of discovered this field of environmental psychology that seems to have done a deep dive into this whole concept of, you know, making a home. And kind of what you can do to make a better home and have be positively impacted by the place you're living.
Yeah.
Which I found fascinating.
I have to say the disclaimer and how we ended up getting around this dilemma, which we will cover in the next how many ever minutes we have left.
As many minutes as we want.
Exactly. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
But I think our solution is not something that, I mean, a lot of people think the answer is just to buy more stuff or like, yes, it's part of it, but you know, you don't have to be uber rich to, you know, just improve your surroundings in a way that improves your quality of life significantly. Like you can get really high returns off of not really spending a ton of money and still being cheap, because God knows I am cheap still.
Yeah,
we didn't change our...
Yeah. We're buying things with intention now.
Yeah, and there are a lot of what we consider to be relatively accessible ways you can do that, and a lot of them are free, completely free. And so that's kind of what we realize. And I think when you critically think about what it takes to kind of make a house a home, you'll find that the answer is not simply to buy more things. It's a little bit more complex than that, and I guess that does tie into the psychology, because I feel like we always use psychology to try and make our lives a little bit better on this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just loop in a couple things that I found, just kind of setting the scene, and then maybe we can talk a little bit more about what we've done.
Set the scene, Matthew.
Yeah. So there's an environmental psychologist at the College of Worcester, Susan Clayton, who had a quote that I really liked. She said, "For many people, their home is part of their self-definition, which is why we do things like decorate our houses and take care of our lawns." Which makes sense.
That does make sense.
I mean, it's... I think maybe during COVID, maybe not as much, but even still, when you're on a Zoom call and, you know, people can see your background.
Yeah.
Right? Like your home sort of defines you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like the definition here also speaks to, I think, a different approach to your home that folks that are maybe a little bit older than we are probably come to their houses with. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you buy your first home, it's like a point of a lot of pride from my understanding of it.
Sure.
Like you saved up all this money, you're like getting your first property, you want to make it look really nice, you want to like reflect a new phase of your life, or even
Yeah.
folks who are getting their first, apartment settling in together and things like that. For us, I think it's like a little bit different because we were like, this is like a pandemic situation and it's just like we were not planning to do
Yeah.
this at all. We
A
were
little
planning
less
to.
momentous. I would
Yeah,
say.
we were. Yeah. So it's a little different, but I think the purpose of the quote in like trying to bring yourself into your home and having that reflect you and
Mm-hmm.
making that a practice is something that you can take no matter where you are in your home life.
Yeah. No, I agree. And one other quote, kind of building off of
Oh,
that,
yes.
that kind of struck me.
Oh, yes.
Was this guy William S. Sachs, who
Oh.
did a went on a Hindu pilgrimage, and this quote he wrote in one of his books: "People and the places where they reside are engaged in a continuing set of exchanges. They have determinate mutual effects upon each other because they are part of a single interactive system." And this sort of came from his, so William Sachs, being from a Western cultural background, sort of noticed that, people didn't believe that their environment and their surroundings and their home impacted them, which is, I guess, partially the explanation for like IKEA and like this idea of
Oh,
like
yeah, like the
minimalist
big box
living,
wholesale. Yeah,
right?
right.
But
Well, it's also big in, I mean, not just IKEA, but like a lot of upscale Scandinavian design is made
Sure.
that it's designed that way. So it's not just because of cost effectiveness. A lot of people buy IKEA because it's just cheaper.
Yeah.
But a lot of folks, like a
Well,
lot of
but it's
Scandinavian,
stylistically
yeah,
cool.
no, I
Stylistic,
mean,
yeah.
you can spend a lot of money on like a house that doesn't really have a ton in it because that's part of the minimalistic
Yeah, it looks
Scandinavian.
chic.
Yeah,
Looks cool.
right.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a better Scandinavian term to cover that, but
Yeah, maybe. But no, I guess what I found interesting, though, is I guess his contrast that he found, on this pilgrimage to, in Southern Asia.
did he go on the pilgrimage or was he just covering a pilgrimage?
I believe he went on the pilgrimage,
Oh, wow.
which is
Okay.
interesting.
All
But
right.
yeah, no, so he kind of got this idea from the South Asian culture where, they feel like there's this
Cultures.
cultures, yes, cultures, but like there's this mutual relationship between a person and where they live and their residence and where they reside.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of strikes a chord with me, I guess, being South Asian.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing that I guess, I don't know how relevant this is psychologically. I don't really have any psychological evidence or studies. But one thing I can say for our house, like what we do is we have we're Hindu, right? So we're practicing Hindus.
To clarify, this is your home,
At
your
home.
family home.
Yeah, sorry, my
Yes.
house. Yeah, so I'm originally from Orange County. But yeah, so my home at my family home.
Yes.
I have to start saying that now. So what we do is everywhere we go, wherever we've lived, we've always had like an individual mini shrine, like a mini home temple. And you'll find this in a lot of Hindu homes. They'll have a home temple. And so you actually end up praying, doing a lot of rituals in your house itself. So it's very connected. I mean, yes, people go to temple. I mean, there's Mandir, so you go to temple whenever, you want to. There's like a festival or something bigger. But there are a lot of traditions and a lot of practices throughout the year with your family or individual traditions that you can recognize and celebrate at home. And so my childhood and growing up, we always celebrated the major Hindu festivals in our home shrine. And so a lot of the culture and a lot of the practices are tied into the home itself. And so our home becomes a holy place. There's a holy spot in our home.
Yeah.
And so it's not as removed, the different facets of our lives, from like being at home. And a lot of our rituals involve things like going outside and like picking flowers, and we bring it in to do puja with and things
Yeah.
like that. And so, you kind of get the sense of like your surroundings kind of become your experience of home because it's so ingrained, at least for us. And at least I know when you go to India and you see people, there's always flowers, fruits, the same kind of stuff
Sure.
that you use for the pujas and the rituals or the stuff you pick basically from your backyard. Like we have a banana tree in our backyard because it's helpful for ritual.
Yeah.
So our home is very much in our culture is ingrained in our home and vice versa. So this very much resonates with me.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I guess for me, I'm sort of thinking back to my family's home in New Jersey. And I guess, we come from a more Western background, but I feel like we don't abide by this minimalist idea.
A lot of Americans don't.
No. Yeah, I mean, my mom hoards a lot of things, so that may be part of the reason why.
Don't at your mom like that.
No, but in a loving way. No, I do too. I got it from her. But yeah, so no, I'm just thinking to like my house, and it's less of a religious, I guess, cultural attachment, and I think a lot of what we do in our home is kind of chronicle the history of our family, where we've been, what we've done. And I'm just thinking of like what we have on our walls, and we have, so I'm Jewish, and we have pictures of myself and my two brothers at our reading the Torah at our bar mitzvahs. We have a picture of my parents on their wedding day. We have a picture of a cliff in Maine where we went on a vacation. So
cool.
It's just a lot of, we have a picture of our old house where we lived until I was in second grade. So I think it's just a lot of chronicling our past and chronicling our past homes and our past history that kind of makes our home a home.
Very interesting.
So it's interesting to see how that kind of differs.
Yeah, for sure.
For us. But it seems to achieve the same purpose.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think like the like symbiotic systems thing sounds like your family's approach is more of like a nostalgic, like memory based symbiosis, and then for our family and for a lot of families that we know, it's very much related to the environment and their physical surroundings and like what's around them, and then you create a spiritual connection out of that. Physical surrounding.
Yeah.
Like the certain flowers that we use or like the plants that we involve in our pujas just sounds crazy, but like those are the things that I will remember, you know? And if I lived somewhere else, like the individual things that we would bring into the home or keep around our home would definitely find their way inside and be a part of like what our home rituals are.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Although we do still, I mean, there's still like a nostalgia element. Like we go to the Indian store and buy coconuts and things like that we don't always find everywhere, and like that's true of a lot of families across the country. They just like buy the tropical stuff that you would find in India and use those plants. So it's not 100% divergent, but interesting different perspectives, right?
Yeah, both of which we've kind of been lacking in our apartment.
Oh, we had nothing. So just to clarify, we had absolutely nothing in our apartment.
Well, I wouldn't say nothing. I guess I'm kind of thinking about what we had at the start.
Oh no, you know what? We had a picture of us.
Yes, we have a picture of us, which I think is really nice, at Shenandoah Valley.
Yeah, it's one of our favorite pictures.
Yeah,
together, I think.
You're welcome for that, by the way. I believe I gifted it to you, but
yeah, he did.
No.
It was a sweet gift.
But I also think we had a couple plants.
Yep.
That we brought in, which I think
we still have them.
Yeah, no. But I'm just saying, originally we had our boy Oswald, which is a bonsai plant.
Another gift that
I believe I gifted to you for your college graduation.
Right. Yeah. He's right here. He's really cute.
Yeah, we're looking at him, and we got Calvin over to my right.
He's a slipper plant.
A slipper plant?
Yeah, and
okay,
if that
I don't
holds
know much
any
about Calvin.
I'm saying that because if that holds any meaning to any of our listeners, please let us know if you have any tips about the slipper or any fun facts, because he's kind of like a zombie. He just like never. I don't know. He's had a couple of dry spells where we forget to water him every now and again, and he's doing just fine.
Him.
No, I'm saying like over his lifetime.
Oh, okay.
So it's not calling out anyone, but he just like has an ungodly lifetime. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, I bring that up to say, I think we brought a little bit of this, which I think we'll get into in a little bit. Biophilic design.
Yeah, and that is a term we learned very recently. Yes. So we were not thinking this way when we brought the plants in.
No, but
I was thinking Pinterest.
Nature, yeah.
Yeah, I was literally just drawing from Pinterest boards.
But before we transition to that, I just want to bring up one of my contributions to our room.
Okay.
My beautiful Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Don't do it.
banner.
Ew.
I'm a big Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. It's a big part of my identity.
Good time to be a Bucks fan.
Yeah, last week, from when you're listening to this, most likely, they won the Super Bowl. So
For the first time since 2002?
yeah, so that's been really
Yeah.
exciting. But I didn't bring that up to brag. I just brought it up as my contribution to the room, which Adithi hated, mostly because of the Comic Sans text on it, I
Okay,
believe.
it's an NFL branded thing that you bought, and for some reason, the NFL branded item, which is super expensive, has Comic
It wasn't super
Sans as the. Well, it's going to be more expensive than like something you buy off of Amazon that's from like a third party seller, right? That it doesn't own the rights to the
All right,
Buccaneers.
fine. That's fair.
Yeah, so there you go. It's not cute. It's an eyesore. It embarrassed me on my first day at work because there was nothing else in our room, and it was just like hanging in the corner. Well, it's not embarrassing because it's like not close enough that you can see the Comic Sans font, but every time I go near it, it embarrasses me just a little bit inside. It just kills my heart. But it's okay because we won the Super Bowl.
Oh, it's a we for you now.
Well, yeah, I'm a fair weather football
Oh,
fan.
get out of here. We won the Super Bowl. I don't know what she's doing. But anyways.
Well,
I
you own all
digress.
the merchandise.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I
that's another
digress.
episode.
I digress. I just wanted to give you an idea of what our room looked like.
And that's
at the
it.
start. That was basically all we
No,
had.
that's not true.
Oh.
That is not all we had. We had one more thing. Because my mom and
yes.
my mom and I had schemed before I left home. The one thing that I wanted to bring to the apartment, and she was very adamant that I bring to the apartment, is the puja room, like
Yes.
the individual
Yep, we do have the
shrine.
corner, yeah.
So we have a little corner of the room that is somewhat facing eastward, which is the appropriate direction for the shrine to face. And it's a really small shrine, but it has, a lot of the stuff from home. My mom was so sweet. She painted like a little
Ganesha, no? Or
yeah,
no?
it is a Ganesha and Mushika. She painted them, and then I brought that with me, and it's really cute. But we have like a little shrine of some of the gods from home, and then I think one of my friends from college had like a statue of Ganesha in her room as a decoration, so I reclaimed it and gave it the respect it deserved. And so Ganesha it looks really nice too. It's like one of those like, I don't know if it's Pottery Barn or like Urban Outfitters that sell. Stop selling that, by the way. That's not the way it's supposed to be used. And then I kept it in our shrine. That is the one thing that I have found value in.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little...
That adds a little piece of home.
Sure.
But
Sure,
besides
and all I
that,
had,
really,
yeah, and
nothing.
all I had was my Buccaneers banner. But
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's a piece of home too.
to each their own.
To each their own, yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically, it's the extent of our hominess this past fall. That's kind of all we had.
No, yeah. And I guess, the issue is that we were making memories and having experiences while we were like sitting in this bare room.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't reflecting our shared experience or individual experiences in a sufficient enough way for us to be happy being inside. And as the weather got colder and we were more drawn inside the house or apartment,
Yeah.
it became kind of an issue,
Yeah.
I would
no,
say.
for sure. For sure.
So enough of talking about like our dilemma, right?
Sure.
Let's talk about like what we did and why it's a wellness thing.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good to me.
Obviously, your space kind of defines a lot of your well-being at this point in time. I think that's something a lot of people are beginning to realize. We're stuck at home all the time because of the pandemic, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always the case, but especially now.
Especially now, yeah. Yeah, I
evident.
mean, it's a big, especially because you're spending so much of your day-to-day routine at home. Like,
Yeah.
people usually would go, I used to spend a lot more time outdoors.
Sure.
Even though I didn't have to go outside.
Sure.
But anyways, you had found some interesting stuff about how to make a happier home.
Yes. So Lily Bernheimer, who is actually an environmental psychology consultant at a firm called Spaceworks Consulting,
That's pretty cool.
wrote up an article on Psychology Today that I found really interesting.
Okay.
Kind of giving just some tips about how to make a happier home. So
Yeah.
some of these are maybe a little more aligned towards the actual architecture of your home. So you may want to
Okay.
think about them more if you're building a home or moving to a new home.
Or if you have choice over like what you can afford via rent and stuff.
exactly.
We did not have that option
Yeah, we didn't
necessarily.
really have much of a
so
choice. But, some of these other ones can be applied in more of a, making wherever you're living right now a little more homey.
homey, yeah, right.
So the first one that I read, wood is good. All right?
Okay.
So essentially one of the main takeaways was that having wood in your home is very positive.
Oh, okay.
People tend to feel less stressed and less fatigued in wooden spaces, which is really interesting. I think it may have to do with the biophilic attachment that I know you researched and we're going to get into a lot deeper in a little bit, but wood is a natural,
I've seen that too, and I think that's a big trend right now. A lot of firms and a lot of like design spaces, stores, stuff like that, they're pushing a lot of wood and like reclaimed wood pieces. Actually, I don't know if you remember this, but before we moved into this apartment, I didn't even want like to buy a bed frame. Because one of the big things right now, or not a big thing, but it's like this fun DIY project is like you can make your own bed out of pallets, like wood pallets, as like a reclaimed wood thing.
I
You
remember you wanting to do this, which we did not follow through
No,
with,
we
thankfully.
totally didn't do this, but like it's just a fun thought, like reclaimed wood. I get that, like the experience of being in a space that has more wood.
Yeah.
We had like a wooden floor, but
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm thinking about, I don't know how many people can relate, but just kind of like, well, being from the Northeast, right? Colder weather, if you're maybe going skiing somewhere and you stay in like a cabin, right?
It
feels really warm and homey. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. And just sitting by the fire in like a wooden cabin, like I get that, like less stress, less fatigue.
Right.
I think
those are two different experiences, like two different positive experiences.
Sure.
Because I feel like here, at least in like SoCal and like California, the kind of experience we have with wood, it's like a lot of bamboo stuff and it has like a clean feeling. Like
interesting.
We use like, you might see like a lot of reclaimed wood in a space or something like that. That's kind of more environmentally conscious, or like corkboard stuff, like that kind of thing. But it has a feeling of like breathability, which is really calming.
I kind of get the opposite. I kind of feel like, well, not like it's not breathable,
like it insulates
like
you.
Warm. Like a warm feeling.
Yeah.
Like a warm, cozy feeling. That's sort of what I get from wood.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, I understand that because, like, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I feel like my experience with, like, why I like wood furniture is because it's breathable and it makes that experience of it. But then again, I don't really get cold. There's no cold weather around me.
Exactly.
So
it just kind of, I think it has to do with where you're from and where the wood is being applied.
Ah, I see.
And the type of wood. Like lighter woods like bamboo versus darker woods like, I don't even know a darker wood. But like
cherry.
A hefty wood.
A hefty cherry.
Yeah, sure.
We don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we didn't do any research on that. The next point, higher ceilings give us headspace. So basically just higher ceilings are positive. And I think that makes sense. Just trying to be, sometimes when you have a low ceiling, you can feel a little claustrophobic.
Yeah, that's a big thing for people, especially now.
Yeah.
Lofted ceilings or like those slanted ceilings, where you have like a slanted roof.
Yeah.
And then the ceiling is like, it feels taller, even though it's only really tall in one part of it.
Yeah.
I hear that those also provide the same effect. So like getting like a slanted roof that's like really tall. Yeah. So it's like a vaulted ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know much about that, but I'm sort of visualizing. You're showing me like an angle, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I can kind of get that.
Yeah, but I watch a lot of HGTV.
Yeah, more than I do, so.
Yeah, but I mean, you just want the feeling of more space, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
even if you can't use it, which I think is really interesting, because you're not. You're
not going to put anything there.
You're not really using the space, the extra couple inches that you have, that you can't really access unless you're like 10 feet tall, right? So like.
Yeah.
But just the perception of having that space, I think, is really powerful.
Yeah.
And so does cool. Lily Bernheimer thinks it's very powerful as well.
All right.
You want to cover the next one?
Yeah. Well, it says embrace your curves.
Ooh.
I'm not actually sure what that means.
Sounds
like, what
sexy.
is that?
No. I think it's basically just that a lot of architectural design is very rigid, very straight. Okay. But that doesn't really match.
Like nature.
Nature.
Yeah.
Right? Nature has curves, and it's sort of about trying to make your home and your living environment mimic nature with those curves.
I see. Yeah, like having more natural patterns and designs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. And I think that kind of relates a lot to the biophilic design concept too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll get.
Is that an architecture thing, or is that more of like a individual pieces inside your home thing?
I think it's mostly an architecture thing, but I mean, if
Okay.
you're considering what to put in your home, just don't put a box. Like just a
Okay.
box, like
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
like a rounder item. I don't know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a globe, like a round. I don't know.
Ooh, okay. Or maybe like a
Mostly
rug.
architecture,
Maybe
probably.
you can get like a rug.
Yeah, maybe like a
Like a TJ
rounder
Maxx
rug, not
rug.
like a rigid rug.
Yeah, like a round
Yeah,
rug.
round rug,
Okay.
round
All
rug.
right. Cool.
Think twice before going minimalist, and we kind of got into this a little bit before, but there's an interesting there's some science behind it
Oh,
that there's
really?
been some research done on. Essentially, so Andrew Crompton from the University of Manchester, I think he may be an environmental psychologist as well, basically found that. Do you know what fractals are?
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, fractals are shapes that are very prominent in nature that basically,
It's like a spiral.
yeah,
Spirals in on itself, right?
sort of like if you're looking at a tree and the branches of the tree are the same shape as the tree itself, just on a smaller
Yes, like
scale.
the pieces mimic the wider thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which mimics the pieces.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the idea of a fractal. And
You can always look it up too, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Fractal.
Yes.
Fractal.
Yes. And what Crompton found is the addition of small scale features in a home, so things that you probably wouldn't have if you're going for a completely minimalist
look.
design.
Yeah.
They create a cascade of detail. That's the wording he used. A cascade
Okay.
of detail, in the sense that you have items at different scales, right? Because you have like the
Yeah,
larger home,
right.
but then you have items on a smaller,
Like
larger
making
scale.
microcosms out of the bigger.
That sort of replicate this fractal nature
Oh, that's kind of cool.
of nature. So that's sort of the idea behind that, and that gives us a sense of comfort and refuge, kind of again likening it to a natural environment. So that's sort of why it's beneficial.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's super understandable.
Yeah. And I think that's definitely something you can do more at a. It's
Yeah.
not an architectural thing.
Right.
It can be, but also just having stuff in your home that is on a smaller scale, whether it be a photo you're putting up on your wall or a little cute fountain that Adithi got that I'm sure she'll rave about later.
Oh, yeah.
And you've seen on our social media, probably.
Probably. Yeah, I was very, very happy, very proud of my purchase.
Yeah. So that kind of creates this positive effect.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
And this is not to mean that you should be cluttering up your space, right? Because I think there is it's a very different experience of being stressed out by how much clutter is around you versus being able to create experiences in different parts of your home with small things.
I think the intention is important for
Yeah,
sure.
right.
Yeah.
So you can still use like the KonMari method that Marie Kondo uses and tidy up and stuff. Some of the minimalist principles I find really useful, like staying clean. But like that doesn't mean you have to have like completely bare walls or like bare countertops. Like that's not.
Yeah, I personally think Marie Kondo's a bit.
Ooh.
Well, I think that's a bit extreme, but isn't that just like?
It's very satisfying if you're into like some
just
people are very into that.
Is it just throw away everything that like doesn't serve a purpose? I forget.
It has to spark joy.
Spark joy. That's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah. Okay.
You're
I don't know. Like, does my paper what's the word?
Paperweight?
Does my paperweight spark joy? Probably not.
Oh, I think it does.
I think it could be useful though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fine line. I think this is a classic design discussion. Like, there's a fine line between utility and then sentimental value. And then what value are you really looking for? Are you having joy at looking at this object because it really serves a purpose really well, or is it because it provides a sentimental value?
Sure.
Does it need to provide both? I feel like that's like a more meta discussion to like be having.
Yeah.
That you can have that in your mind, but I feel like it's not always going to be like an immediate thing. Like, oh, it sparks joy. Let me keep it. Or like, nah, I'm gonna throw it. So I don't know. I guess I'm of the same mind as you in a way.
Yeah. No. I think we're kind of in the same zone.
Yeah. This is what happens when you like think about things that you don't really think about on a regular basis.
Oh boy,
the word
thinking
think
about
30
thinking.
times.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I think the last one that Lily Bernheimer mentions is windows, which, yes, windows.
Seeing is relieving, not reliving, which I thought it was reliving, but seeing is relieving. I think she's
Yeah,
going
but I
for
think
the
it's like a
rhyme.
play on seeing is believing.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what happens when you watch too many like Disney Channel original movies from the 2000s. Like you just
Ah,
that phrase sticks with you forever.
okay.
But that makes sense. I've seen this all the time. Windows bringing daylight, airflow, natural views. I haven't seen a sense of control, which is something that Bernheimer claims isn't a positive effect of having a window out there. I don't.
Maybe just so you don't feel like you're in jail.
Oh, I guess. Okay, maybe that's it. Yeah, like maybe you don't feel so locked in. I don't know. Windows are nice. We don't even necessarily have amazing views outside of this apartment. Oh, shoot. We don't really.
Yeah, I pick up
That's
the
my
phone
thing.
later.
Yeah, I'll pick up the phone later. But windows are. What was I talking about?
We were talking about the benefits of windows and bringing in the daylight, the airflow, the natural views. Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of goes without saying that, windows, again, it connects to this idea of nature,
Yeah.
bringing the nature in, right? It's not even so much making your house look natural.
Right.
It's actually allowing the nature to come in. And I think that is beneficial.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Super happy with that. It doesn't even have to be a really beautiful view. I mean, we have a view of a senior center.
Yeah, but it's nice to open our window,
Oh my God, the sunlight is really beneficial for me.
For sure.
I feel different when I have gotten my daily dose of sun.
Yeah.
Then again, and I don't think that's just a California thing.
Yeah. And again, I mean, windows definitely part architecture in terms of where your windows, but also I think
Right.
it's part of design, like making your windows prominent in your space.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's important too. Like our windows right in front of your desk, and you were saying that it was a huge positive impact on you, when you've started working, and having the window right there has been really good for you.
Yeah, and I mean, we only have one set of windows in this room, right? You don't have to have a ton of windows, and I know that having rooms with huge windows can be like more expensive real estate.
Sure.
But it's like what Matt said, like when you reorient your experience and what you do and like your workspaces around the places that are windowed,
Yeah.
it changes the way that you experience things.
Yeah.
Especially because I think also like I know this isn't something that's in this particular list, but mirrors are another thing that I know open up space a lot more.
Oy.
It makes
I
the
think we
room
have too
feel
many
bigger.
mirrors.
Okay, well, we have like basically a wall of mirrors behind us, and I guess that's a little much sometimes. But we do have our window opposite our mirror, and so you get the view from any direction like either of the directions you're facing. And so I think it's nice. I don't know about Matt. Maybe he gets freaked out with all the windows.
I mean,
or
I don't need
mirrors.
to see myself that much, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I do get that it kind of expands the space. Expands the space a little bit. At
Makes
least
it
your
feel
perception
bigger.
of it, right?
Yeah, right.
So I guess that's beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, things like that, just reorienting your work space and like whatever you do and make that something where you're facing a source of sunlight. That changes the way you experience things. Even if the sun isn't beaming into your window, just having like a window outdoors and that being close to where your workspace is really helpful. My mom has a desk at home now that we got. I'm really proud of that. But her desk doesn't face a window. She's just next to a window.
Yeah.
But just having a sunlight source closely available is really helpful too.
For sure.
And I guess that kind of ties into like biophilic design, right? So this is basically, but it ties in a lot of what we've been talking about today, because I think like we've talked about how a lot of the human experience is or has been intertwined with nature. I experience this regularly because of like I said, a lot of the traditions we have are very tied into the nature surrounding us, or at least the nature in India.
Yeah.
If we go to the Indian store and buy like all of the same vegetables and fruits and such. But, humans in general have had a relationship with nature for as long as we've been around. Even if you don't like bringing nature into your house, it's something you interact with all the time. Bringing nature into your house, by the same token, doesn't mean shoveling dirt into your house, because that sucks. We don't like having dirt in our house.
Yeah, we do that occasionally.
Well, yeah, sometimes. And we like to hike, so sometimes we track mud, but we clean it up, right? It can also just mean like bringing elements of the outdoors into your house. Like, for example, the wood is like a really great example of that. Bringing in natural textures, patterns, and designs to make it feel like you're bringing the elements you enjoy of the outdoors, not just in a visual sense, but every sense, like auditory, olfactory, all of those senses, and engaging those as you might in nature. those are things that can add to the sense of a biophilic design, and biophilic design elements have been shown to be very beneficial for your health.
Yeah.
And so the study I'm referencing right now is from Ryerson University, their architecture department. They basically did a meta-analysis of all of this literature over the past how many ever decades.
Okay.
And they kind of just looked at different design elements that affected the way that the students at Ryerson have been able to like gauge their wellness metrics, right?
Okay.
So like they identified a couple of different like principles that we can try and follow with design in general that can improve your experience. And this is I thought this was a good demographic because I feel like we're not too far away from this demographic, and a lot of the stressors on students are a lot of the stressors you have in your young life in general.
Yeah.
You're still a student, so this is relevant, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So some of the things that they discussed are having visual elements that remind you of nature. So this is kind of like the stuff that you were talking about that's in your house. Like you could have a poster of nature, a photo of you being in nature. The colors blue, green, and yellow, which, yeah, that makes sense. They're reminiscent of things in nature. Matt's like,
Nature. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
maybe not my favorite colors, but yeah, no, I get that they would add to that vibe.
Matt's favorite color is purple, which I'm sure if you pulled up our Instagram feed, you could see
so
is a
much
big feature.
And I'm sure you see so
brand.
much purple in nature.
Yeah, a lot of purple.
Not really.
Not really. Lavenders are really nice, though. That's part of our cover art. Anyways, then there's a non-visual stuff. Like I mentioned, auditory and olfactory elements. These are really small things you can do, right? I mean, honestly, I just bought an air freshener for our room that has like a naturistic scent or whatever. I mean, how naturistic are the scents that they have at Glade and Febreze? I don't know, but like, whatever, man. Just like buy something that reminds you of nature, even if it's something like an apple cinnamon thing in the fall.
Yeah.
Those things are nice. It kind of reminds us of being outdoors. I bought us like pine woods or something like that.
And kind of going off of that, there's just something about, and I'm not Christian, I'm Jewish. My dad is actually Christian though. So we celebrate Christmas as well. This year, for the first time, we got a real Christmas tree in our house. And just the smell of a Christmas tree was, it made such a big difference. We've had this puny artificial tree that we've, put the ornaments on for years. And this was the first year that we got a real tree. And I really felt like it made a big difference. And I think it was because of the olfactory element.
Yeah, and a lot of folks have potpourri in their houses, and there is an element of, even if there is a little bit of perfume in the potpourri, having flowers and stuff like that, dried flowers, pine cones. A lot of people keep pine cones in their house, or they'll do balsa wood or something like that. Yeah. These are things that are relatively cheap. You can find a lot of these things not for that much money, and keep them in your house. If you want to even get a plant or something, sometimes, like, I don't know, a plant can have a nice fresh smell coming off of it. I don't know about Oswald or Calvin, but like it can be that way. You can find plants at your local nursery, and they don't have to be $900.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We found our plants at Walmart. Calvin's from
Walmart.
I think
Oswald's from 1-800-Flowers.
Yeah, 1-800-Flowers. So there you go.
They don't only have flowers. They have some small plants.
Exactly. So. And then, even things like going outside and picking your own flowers in a legal way and then bringing them back in, it adds something to your house. And those are free, legally. Again, don't go to someone's property and like pick their flowers, but
at least when they're not looking. No, I'm just kidding.
But,
just don't.
No, but they add like an olfactory element. Auditory, so this is where our fountain comes in. So I wanted to add a little element. So another thing that they found in the Ryerson study is that water is a really big thing. Finding a way to bring water into your home space is really helpful. Now, we are broke. We can't really afford to have like a moat in front of our house, or like a lake in our home, or a pond in our home.
Or just a waterfall wall. Those really wealthy houses that just have... down, next to the staircase, they just have a huge waterfall wall.
No, you're talking about.
I'm sure that would sound nice.
That would sound really nice. However, we cannot afford that. And something I found on Amazon was this super, it's really nice. It's a tabletop fountain. It was literally like $25, which I know it's, kind of a splurge for some of us that are just like, girl, we need groceries this week. But I promise you, it's not going to take too long to save up your money, hopefully, if you want to get this thing. It's like, having a little element of water. Stones. This is a fountain that has stones on it. I'm a big fan.
She won't stop talking about
It's really nice because also I think it adds that feeling like the sound of water is just a really nice thing.
Yeah.
A lot of psych offices, a lot of therapy offices, they have things like waterfalls. You'll
Waterfall,
find,
yeah.
yeah,
Waterfalls, waves,
waves.
crashing waves.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Holistic health is a big part of it, is like incorporating water. And it
Yeah.
really does make a difference. Like I really like going to lakes and stuff, but you can't have a lake in your house all the time, or you can't live on the waterfront. That's not always
Not all the
that's
time.
not a luxury everyone has. So some really small things that you can do to add value. I've seen people who even do like, you get a nice big bowl, right? You put some water in it and just float flowers on it, like fresh flowers. It's really cute. You can do it. We do it for Diwali or whatever holiday, Navaratri, whatever Hindu holiday. Sometimes we do it for that. And it's really nice. It's just and those, that's usually free unless you want to buy like a decorative crystal bowl. Get creative, but like, you know, they don't have to cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it adds a lot. I think that was the best purchase I've made all year. And Matt can testify to that because he's heard me yell about it all month.
Very much so.
Some folks really like to look at local materials. That's what they found at Ryerson. This is a thing, I don't know how connected you are to the actual materials that are used in New Jersey.
Okay. I don't, no.
But there are some things that are really nice. So
Snooki? She's a local material?
Yeah.
Can we?
Snooki just have like a Snooki just is like a chair, you know. No, but I mean, there are some places that are famed for using certain materials, like maybe a certain type of wood from a certain place.
Okay.
Adding local things, locally made things, not only does it help small business nearby, but it also can add a feeling of home. I can't think of a lot of things off the top of my head from Orange County that I would really identify in like a piece of furniture, but you know, the main idea is to just try and bring design elements from home to give you a sense of home.
How about like a license plate? I know a lot of art just uses license plates.
Yeah.
Is that a local material?
Yeah, I think they may also be talking about like plants and greenery.
Yeah, no.
Like maybe a local plant or something like that.
I was kind of joking.
Oh, that was a joke. Okay,
Yeah.
well, some people do that.
I mean,
and
they do that, but I don't think that's what they mean here by local material. Just like a New Jersey license
Yeah,
plate. Yeah, probably not.
No, maybe I don't know. I can't speak to that because I don't actually know enough. But if you guys have any license plate art that really makes you feel biophilic, let us know.
The metal really.
The metal really. It's a local metal.
Yeah.
Metal's an element too, though.
Sure.
And then the other thing is dynamic and diffuse light.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a big thing. I think nowadays, especially because we're on our screens all the time and your schedule just gets messed up. I mean, sleep schedules just went really insane at the beginning of quarantine for sure. We do all have something called a circadian rhythm. And so we naturally, as humans and mammals, we that are not nocturnal, we do have like a biological clock that we fall under, certain times to wake up, certain times to go to sleep. You can really change your internal wiring based on like artificial light. That's what they say, to use blue light glasses when you're on your screen and stuff, because it kind of changes your it messes with your circadian flow. So what you can do in the house, some things that are really easy to do is like if you have a lamp or something that has really harsh light. A lot of folks use LED lights or lights that are harsher white light as opposed to yellow light because they are more, there's something about the lights. They're green. There's something green about these like light bulbs that you can use.
Fluorescent? Are you
Yeah,
talking
the
about?
CFCs bulbs or something like that.
Yeah, they're the ones that look like spirals.
The coils, right? But those kind of have a harsher light, and I also know for sure that screens have really harsh light.
Yeah.
You can get blue light glasses, but something you can do for the house is buy little pieces of fabric and then just like drape fabric over your lamps.
Yeah,
It's not. I mean, it doesn't. You can do colored fabrics or tapestries. I've seen people do tapestries
just
over.
make sure it's not a fire hazard, but yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
But yeah, no, you could definitely. I've seen people do that before for sure.
Getting a lampshade makes a big difference too.
Yeah.
Like lampshades, or they sell things that you can put on top of like an exposed bulb, or even a lamp that you have that doesn't have a shade or something like that, and it'll dim the light or soften the light a little bit so it's not as harsh on your eyes.
Yeah.
And then again, with the windows thing, definitely make sure that you have a source of sunlight around your house. It doesn't have to be your room, but if there's a window in your abode, try to be near it. Spend as much time as you can around a source of sunlight. And the benefits are noted in a lot of different studies. So this meta-analysis found that there was stress reduction, lower blood pressure, improved cognitive function, lowered self-reported depression and things like that.
And to clarify, this is just for all the biophilic points that you were bringing
Yeah,
up, right?
yeah. So they kind of
Yeah.
distilled like these points in the study and then drew it to like what the effect was on these students.
Gotcha.
Social relationships blossom and grow. Like it's nice to not be in a jail cell with a couple of friends when you're having a party after COVID. Okay, don't have a
Yes.
party right now, but it improves your social relationships and lighting and ventilation reduce claustrophobia, which is
Makes sense.
a huge part of why a lot of folks feel very trapped, and it can really affect your mental health being in a space that doesn't have ventilation or good lighting.
Yeah.
Right. So this actually doesn't have a ton to do with like what we did in our apartment to deal with our dilemma. I think the fountain was the most biophilic thing that we did.
Sure.
So what we did is we tried to like create a space that is known as like a sacred space. I think a lot of people have experienced this. At a place you can go in your house or in your apartment that is really just made for you to calm, chill out, just be positive, just get rid of any of your stressors and just have a dedicated space, individual, separate from your workspace, separate from your bed, okay? Somewhere where you can just de-stress and relax.
Yeah.
So what we did is we call it the cozy corner.
The cozy corner.
Yeah, we actually say it like that too, the cozy corner.
Yes. Yeah, it's really nice. Adithi spent a lot more time there than I have so far. But basically, we got a beanbag chair in the corner. And we've got a couple pillows.
Yep.
We've got this
Canopy.
canopy.
I was the one that purchased the canopy.
Yeah, it sort of looks like it would go over a baby's crib, but
It does.
It's serving our purpose.
It does, but I mean, if it can calm down a baby, it could probably calm us down. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, and I mean, its function is basically just to separate that area from the rest of the room.
It
right?
doesn't have to be a canopy in your house. If you have, if you get a divider or something like that, you can always just block off a little piece of the room or something.
Yeah.
We don't have a huge room. We just like took one of our corners and just made it into the space and just kind of tried to cover it a little bit.
Yeah. And then next to the cozy corner, we have a couple candles. We have that photo of us in Shenandoah, the nature photo, which looks nice. The fountain.
Yeah, the tabletop fountain.
The tabletop fountain. And we've got all our books.
Yeah, our favorite books. We like reading. We like doing stuff like that. And it doesn't have to be books for you. You can find something that you really like to do that has, value and it doesn't involve a lot of stress. Matt and I like to read different things and discover new stuff. We also like to play cards and a game called Love Letter, which deserves its own episode.
Yeah, really fun card game for anyone who's looking for a new game
really
to
fun.
play.
It is really fun.
Yeah, so we've got those near the cozy corner as well.
And new additions include snacks that we're about to bring in.
Oh yeah,
our favorite snacks.
That's exciting.
And we also have lighting, and then also our air freshener to kind of make it smell nice.
Yeah.
And I mean, was this like a purchase that we made? Yes, we spent money on it.
Yeah.
I don't like spending money in general, but the returns you get on your investment are just ridiculously high. Your ROI is just through the roof on this thing because like it just makes your
It's all about the ROI with you.
Yeah, it's a separate space. It makes you feel better, and including small elements like the sound of water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The sound of rushing water or like a plant can really change the way that you move around in the world. And your house.
One thing that I think is interesting, and I've told you this a lot, and it sort of has to do with environmental psychology. I think it does, but it's sort of a different conversation. This idea of associating places with different actions or different feelings.
Yeah.
And I was basically telling her to get out of bed during the day as much as I could because I don't have a source to bring up right now, but I've read that if you spend a lot of time in bed when you're not sleeping or doing other activities that are meant to be done in bed, basically you're then coaching your brain to associate your bed with maybe work or looking at your phone or other stuff like that. And then when it actually comes time to sleep, you have trouble sleeping.
Which was definitely happening to me.
Yeah. So, and I think same thing with our desk. We associate our desk with work, which is okay, but we don't really want to be doing other activities at our desk because then it may make us less productive when we're trying to work. So I think it's really useful for us to have this cozy corner meant to the focus of the cozy corner is to relax.
Right.
So when we go there to relax, and we keep that relaxation space separate from our working space, separate from our sleeping space. So I
Right.
think that that's really helpful.
Yeah, and I think just the designation of the space to coziness
Yes.
is the biggest part of this. But I mean, the elements of design that we just discussed today. I mean, they're evident now in our apartment more. I mean, the window is a huge part of the room. I think it's very much my light source. I don't really have any lamps near where I work, but the day light serves as that, and it's a good reminder when the sun sets and it's evening and maybe I shouldn't be working anymore. Maybe it's time to stop working.
Yeah.
And I also think having plants in the room is really nice. I'm growing like tea herbs.
Yeah, you just started growing some tea herbs.
And I mean, I like growing things, so that's something I enjoy, but it's just nice to see a pop of green, and it's nice to see something else living in the same space as you that isn't a human.
Yeah. And I would say one other thing that that we've done that I think was really cool, and kind of served two purposes. We talked about how our walls are pretty bare. So we got a puzzle that I think we really enjoyed doing together.
Yeah, it was a really fun puzzle.
And it's of a chocolate
Hershey.
A Hershey. I got it. I bought it at Hershey Park, and it's in Pennsylvania, and it's a chocolate shop basically.
But like with vintage ads. And stuff
a
like
lot
that,
of vintage
really cool.
chocolate shop. Yeah.
Yeah.
1,000-piece puzzle. We really enjoyed doing it, and now I spent $8. Well, the puzzle was like probably $25. Spent $8 to get something to stick it all together and put it up on the wall. So now we had an activity to do in the puzzle, and now we'll get to have something up on our wall. So I think it could be a cool idea if you get a puzzle of a picture that you really like.
Or nature, if you're
nature.
going to implement some biophilic design.
Yeah, and then put together the puzzle and put it up on the wall. And there you go.
Yeah. And other things I've seen from people are, like I mentioned, floating some water, flowers on water, having fresh cut flowers.
Yeah.
That's not always accessible, but getting a plant is a really wonderful thing. Succulents are also really easy to manage, and they're not going to take up a ton of space or a ton of your time. And, I know it's not always easy to find beautiful things around you when you are limited by the amount of money you can spend on rent or something like that. But there are really small things that you can do that just make things a lot easier. If you can't buy a photo of something, you could even paint it or draw it.
Yeah.
Watercolors add a lot of value in a room, in my opinion. I used to have it back in my room at home. I used to like paint, or I even digitally drew a couple of flowers, cacti, something natural.
Yeah, blue, green, and yellow.
It was blue, green, and yellow.
There you go.
Yes, and then you just put it on your wall, and it just adds something for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be something super fancy, but it can just add a little zhuzh up the place. You heard that phrase?
Je ne sais quoi?
No.
What? Oh no, wrong one.
Yeah,
wrong
no.
phrase.
I don't know actually, because I'm not sure.
Oh, I thought
Don't
it was
ask
a little
us to
je ne sais quoi. I don't know.
Don't ask
We're
us
not
to speak French. We're not.
French.
We have some of our best friends are French though, and it's embarrassing to them to
Yes.
be around us sometimes.
Yes. But anyways.
Yeah. Anyways, so
I think we've left
We
our
totally
audience
went-
with quite a bit to think about.
yeah, we went crazy with all the information this week. But I think the takeaway from today's episode is to try and find small things that you really like. Head to Amazon. Okay.
Or support your local businesses.
Oh, no. Actually, support your local business first. You can go on Etsy or something and filter by location, I believe, too.
Yeah. Well, you could do a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Amazon, at the end of the day, there's some things you can only get at Amazon. Okay, we understand.
Yeah, budget-friendly stuff you
Yes,
can get,
yes,
too.
yes.
So, wherever, just, find something that's small, something that isn't going to break your bank, but is something that you maybe wouldn't have thought to buy before. And if it adds something of value to you in the way of making you feel like you're at the beach, or making you feel like you're in a forest, or making you feel like whatever nature you relate to that's nearby, buy it.
Yeah. I mean, take it from us. We kind of, realized how important this was a couple months too late, I would say.
Yeah.
Take it from all of these environmental psychologists. Clearly that this is a really prevalent field, and
find
it's
out
really
your
important.
narrative. Find out the things that drew you to nature, or that nature can bring to you.
Yeah.
Or whatever your memories are in nature, or memories from
Sure.
your home. Bring those things and bring those elements into your home. If you have to spend $1 or $2, it's worth it.
Yeah,
I think
say
it's
so.
worth it.
I would say so.
Okay, we're gonna head to the cozy corner now.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right.
All right, you guys. Have a good rest of your day, evening, commute, whatever it is that you're doing.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll talk to you guys soon. Hey guys, so we forgot a couple things. So we just wanted to let you know first about our next episode, which is going to be on transitioning into new phases of life.
Yes, very exciting, very meta.
So we're very excited about that. And
yes, and we forgot to mention that you can still find us on Instagram at Wellspring Pod, on TikTok at Wellspring Podcast, and on Anchor, which I believe is how you're hearing this episode right now.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, guys, take care, and we'll be back. We'll be back soon.
Yeah, have a good one, you guys.